So just to introduce you, the smiling gentleman here is Dr. Achyuthan Eswar. And when I heard this terminology, I said, okay, I want to have him on board and hear from his experience. So lifestyle medicine physician. So I was like, oh, that's very interesting. I've never had somebody with that particular nomenclature introduce themselves. So, and then also the next thing that I understood is Sampoorna Ahara is a startup that he runs. And so when it came Ahara, I was like, the foodie in me was very excited. And after I learned that, the ingredients used are completely whole food, and sometimes, or, most of the times, or all times, the food come without sugar, jaggery, oil. That really piqued my curiosity. And after that, I've been hunting a little on his LinkedIn, and I definitely want to just look at the posts, read them a little more, find out more about him, his work. And so I thought, okay, why not on LinkedIn? I can as well call him on the podcast and get to talk with him. And there are many interesting things that I'm sure is lined up. So thank you, Dr. Achyuthan. Thanks for coming on board. And yeah, I am absolutely thrilled to welcome you to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Sunil. It's so lovely to be here with you. Spurti told me a lot about you. We had a brief call, but she said, I have Mr. Sunil. He's going to call you. He's going to speak with you. He's one of the best that I know. And he just brings out stories. He brings out the passion and the purpose of people so well. To talk to him, I think you both will get along so well, and I completely agree with her. It's lovely
Mhm.
speaking with you. Looking forward to this conversation.
Yes. So my first question is, yeah, so when I said Sampoorna Ahara, or when I heard that, I think it was fantastic. So for those that are not knowing the background of Sampoorna Ahara, so Sampoorna is completely full, and Ahara is the overall aspect of food. So why did that name come across? Why Sampoorna Ahara?
Sure. So, Sunil, I've had this dream of healing without medicines since my childhood, since I was 12 years old. And I realized that I became a doctor. I graduated as a yoga and naturopathy doctor from STM College in Dharmasthala. And I learned in that 5.5 years that if you follow a healthy lifestyle, you stay healthy. This sounds so simple. I'm sure everyone would agree with it. But this may be like the most powerful method to live a longer, healthier life today, simply to follow healthy habits every day. And research has shown that the like some of the biggest risk factors for are related to our food habits. Unhealthy food is, I think, among the top three or top five risk factors in India, according to the Global Burden of Disease study funded by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. And when you dig deeper into that, when you compile all the complete balance of evidence, when you take all of the research into consideration, there is one thing that comes out, and that is the more whole plant foods you consume, the healthier you get.
Mhm.
And that's how Sampoorna Ahara was born. Sampoorna Ahara translates to whole foods in almost all it, and that is the true essence of healthy eating, a whole food, plant based diet.
Hmm. So thank you for sharing the etymology of how Sampoorna Ahara came to be, the philosophy. So when I was reading through, you said you're a practicing doctor, and I also saw that there was a 2 year gap in your resume, wherein you were homeschooled. So I was fascinated by that. So how did homeschooling leading led you to becoming a doctor?
Absolutely. So my parents, when I finished my 10th standard, my parents told my two younger sisters, "Do you want to go to school next year? Or if you don't want, you don't need to go." And I said, "Why didn't you tell me this option 10 years back? I didn't tell me now." My 10th standard. How come they get it at sixth and third, and I got the chance only after 10th? But anyway. So my parents learned about the Indian education system They found that in most schools, not all, there are plenty of amazing schools that teach with a difference. But most schools which follow the kind of the colonial British educational system that was put in place, and similar traditions passed down, when students in India go into those schools, they're filled with creativity and innovation. But by the time
Mhm.
you graduate and you come out, it kills that creativity, it kills that innovation, it kills independent thinking, free thinking, and you kind of become a, what's the word for it? Robot of the system, maybe putting it a little too harshly, but somewhere headed in that direction. You know? And they looked into this, they researched into this, and they wanted to give my sisters and I a chance to really explore ourselves, to find out what drives us, what is our passion, to discover who we truly are. And that's when we kind of dropped out of school and we started homeschooling. We started learning by ourselves. So it was a very free atmosphere. We could learn what we want. We could read what we want, do what we want, and we had amazing, fantastic support by both of our parents. Back then, it was for three of us, lots of fun, lots of activities to do every day, and we were just having fun. But then looking back, having grown up now, I think what they did was so amazing because it truly helped us to discover what we want to achieve in life and start working towards that in small ways from a very young age. So, and then at the end of that, in 2 years, I decided that I want to become a doctor because that's where my path was leading me. So I wrote my 12th standard exams, the Cambridge A level exams, as a private candidate. And I joined the STM college, graduated as a doctor, and then looked into plant based nutrition research, into lifestyle medicine research, learned more deeply about that. And that has brought me to where I am.
That's a wonderful journey. So I am also now, slightly jealous of the opportunities that you had, 10th and 12th, after, after that complete 2 years of, Moj Basti and maybe some parts of studying also has gone into that. Um, but it beats the whole point of getting to the school, getting to the college, sitting there for long hours, uh, listening to things that you already know of, sometimes not really interested in doing at all. So it feels a very strong burden on our creativity. I think very truly said. It's a burden on our creativity, and I am excited to know, a little more on. You said lifestyle medicine. So what's the difference between medicine and lifestyle medicine?
Sure, absolutely. So, lifestyle medicine is when you treat a disease
Mm-hmm.
through a healthier lifestyle. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
For example, it is so when you look at the global burden of disease study that I mentioned earlier, when you look at the top causes of death, the number one cause of death, the most likely reason why you and I and our family, one else in this country, are probably going to die statistically is through a heart attack. Okay. And a heart attack is a lifestyle disease. It's caused due to an unhealthy lifestyle in 90% plus cases. And when you look at the risk factors for death, among the top three are unhealthy diet habits, which means that why are people dying from a heart attack? It's because we are not eating enough diet. It's not exercising enough. It's because we're not physically active. It's because we have a lot of mental stress. Right? We are not sleeping enough. We don't have a healthy relationship, substance abuse, habits that are incorporated into our lifestyle. And when you
Mm-hmm.
change those habits, Sunil, when on my first day of college, I went to class, sat down. Our teacher, Dr. Rotrappa, came out. He was also the CMO of the hospital, the teaching hospital then, and wonderful person, down to earth, very simple, straightforward way of speaking. He came, he walked out, he looked at all of us, he opened his mouth and said, "The body heals itself. This is what you're going to learn for the next 5.5 years." It was so beautiful. I learned the science behind how the body fantastic self-healing machine. So many chronic diseases from diabetes to hypertension to heart disease, obesity, PCOS, asthma, cancer, autoimmune conditions. Many of these are very directly, strongly linked to your lifestyle. And if you change your lifestyle, if you give your body a chance to heal itself, it's going to opportunity. Now, every night you go to sleep, when you're asleep, your body is busy repairing itself. Your body is busy healing itself. By the time you wake up in the morning, you're a little healthier than you were the previous night. But first cup of tea, the first cup of coffee, the first omelette, the first white rice idli that you eat in the morning, you're back to square one.
Hmm.
And those habits just continue through the day, every day. That leads to lifestyle diseases. But if we change those habits, if we adopt healthier habits every day, then we can get healthy. So, Neil, I'm sure you agree with me. I'm sure everyone agrees with this. Healthy eating is good for you. No one's going to disagree. Yes, it's good for you.
Yeah.
But why? Because we think it's too difficult. We think it's too difficult to practice every day. ಎಲ್ಲ okay, ನನ್ನ ಕೈಯಲ್ಲಿ ಆಗಲ್ಲ. This is the mindset.
Hmm.
No? So that's where we come in at nutritionscience.in, and that's Ahara. We want to make healthy eating easier for you and practical, accessible, affordable, able to practice it on a daily basis and get healthier.
Hmm. A lot of interesting things. Practicing it daily. For us, it like namgagala. This is what it is. Very, very tough in a place where you're changing mindset. That's so fundamental because food is fundamental. You are what you eat. And then when you get to this point where you're trying to bring in a change, that's quite literally a systemic change. So how's that experience been for you in terms of user experience or user space when you do mention Sampoorna Ahara? How are people taking on to this as a bandwagon or as a topic?
Absolutely. Sampoorna Ahara has made it so convenient. Convenience is the word. You know, I truly believe that for most people, choosing the healthier option is easier when it's convenient for you.
Mm,
The only option you get at a restaurant is something fried or something made from white rice, you're going to eat that. You're hungry, there's no other go, you're going to eat it. If the only option you get is a fruit salad, you're going to eat it. You're going to eat whatever is there. Right? And if health is made convenient, if that option that you get is always healthy, then
mm,
you stay healthy. That's the default option. That's what you choose. That's what you eat. That's what you do. Healthy because of it. You know, we've had people calling us and saying, Doctor, I have to lose weight. I've been trying for so many years. I get on some program or the other and I lose weight. You know, a month I've lost 4 kg, 5 kg, sometimes 10 kgs in a month, which is unhealthy, by the way. That's too high a rate of weight loss, but then some crash diets get you there. So
mm,
I've lost that much weight. I go back to my normal food and the normal weight comes back on. The normal diabetes is back, the normal BP is back, and the
mm,
normal high blood pressure is back. And that's the problem. Diets don't work because diets are temporary. You do it
mm,
for some time and you stay healthy for some time. Then, when you go back to your old normal, all the old diseases come back. But
mm,
instead, what we do at Sampoorna Ahara is we help you to adopt a permanent lifestyle change. We make it easy for you to kind of reset your definition of normal. Okay? Imagine, for example, it's normal to drink water every day, right? We all have a habit of when you some water, right? And but that's not a habit that children have by default.
mm,
Some amount of training that goes into it. You teach a child, okay, you're feeling thirsty, drink some water, and then that gets formed over time. We have a habit of walking. We learned walking as children, and then now we don't even think twice about it. Walking, right? So those are lifestyle habits. Those are habits that you pick up, you learn, you practice. It becomes so normal, you don't even think about it anymore.
mm,
Join the some programs. They've been able to lose, like for example, our weight loss program. People lose about 200 grams to 1 kg of excess weight every week until they reach their
Oh.
normal. And the similar meals, if people who are underweight join, they gain weight. I had
Mm.
one of my clients call me a couple of months back. They have been trying to gain weight for the last 7 years and nothing has worked. I started the Sampoorna Ahara meal program. In a month's time, I've gained 3 kgs. I'm so happy. And people are able to lower their sugar level, their blood pressure. We had someone calling us from the US saying, my parents live in Bangalore. I've been trying to get them to eat healthy for years now, but they only want to eat what they have at home and they're stuck on their habits. Their medications are getting worse and worse. BP is increasing for my dad, sugar levels are increasing for my mom. Both of them are overweight. When I call them, they sound so tired. I'm not at all happy with this, but I live in the US. I'm not able to
Mm.
take care of them at home. Can you do something? So we started them on a Sampurna Ahara meal subscription. 1 month later, the same person calls me back and they say, I spoke with my parents yesterday. My father has stopped his BP medications and his BP is back to normal.
Brilliant.
My mother's sugar levels have dropped 50 points. I can hear the energy in her voice when she speaks with me. I'm so happy.
Mm.
So that's what being healthy can do to you. Because I guess at the end of the day, Sunil, healthy people, I guess that's the perspective we should have in life.
That's wonderful. So I can clearly sense the passion that you have for healthy eating, healthy lifestyle. I think healthy diet is a half complete statement. It's as soon as you switch off the diet, I think you're off. So when you were sharing this, I think a few a few things that you observed, and another question that came to me is you said normal BP, normal sugar. We are the diabetic capital of the world. Sometimes proudly flaunting it, saying, "Hey, I have sugar." There's generally a competition among certain elders that says, "Oh, I am popping in 10 pills," and somebody is like, "Oh no, I am popping in 25 pills," and somebody says, I have more." It's like that auctioning space. Everybody is saying, "I have more pills," and becomes a sense of pride, saying, "Hey, I have access to so much." And when we are getting early on in our life, the only thing that we are now looking forward is how to build our careers, how to build our the next big home. But the way it's moving, it's moving towards a place where our health is our last priority. And what we eat, I think again, is still whatever works. Two or three, like I very strongly remember before the fridge became mainstream. Whatever was cooked on that particular day ended that particular day, and we were always cooking fresh things, not keeping anything in the fridge. So many different ideas that came for. So I'm curious as to when you say Sampurna Ahara, I also know that you home deliver these food tiffin boxes or basically food uh, to people who subscribe to this. I also want to maybe know a little bit more about that, and also in terms of our eating habits over the years. Do you feel that what we were doing it before was actually better?
Sure, that's a great question. And I'd like to say, Sunil, that what I feel is immaterial. What
Mm-hmm.
matters is what is the evidence, what does the research show, what does the data show. At the end of the day, two of us and a number of other people can sit and discuss what each other. None of it really matters. When you look at the data, when you look at the hard evidence, and you draw conclusions from that, that can give you a proper direction. That can give you a healthy direction to get the results that you want, whether it's health or I guess any other aspect of life, really. And when you look at the data, here's what I found. 1936 diet survey conducted in Calcutta, Bengal. They found that on average in Bengal, so before that, Calcutta is known for fish. Calcutta is known for dairy consumption, milk,
Mm.
sweets, sugar, white rice, right? But this study found that people in Calcutta ate less than one-fifth the amount of animal protein recommended by the British Medical Association at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a near complete absence of dairy products from their diet. Can you imagine Calcutta that doesn't eat much fish and where almost nobody consumed dairy? That's what it was in 1936. 1947, the year we gained independence, Corporation of Madras published their annual health report. And so, by the way, at that time, Madras was one of the biggest cities, if not the biggest, in India at that point. It's still one of the biggest, but at that point, it really like made a difference. And you get some diabetes, some hypertension, some heart disease to be there, right? And the word heart is mentioned in that report two times. So
Mm.
remember, this is a compilation of the biggest causes of death, the biggest public health issues and crises that the whole city is facing, right? Two times the word heart is mentioned. Once referring to congenital heart disease in newborn children, which
Mm-hmm.
is not a lifestyle, it's a genetic problem. And number two, a tigress that died from Madras Zoo. There was no heart disease. There's no hypertension. The word diabetes is missing from. Nobody had cancer. No one was overweight. No one had asthma. And it's not like we didn't know about these diseases. We knew about them. And other studies from that time show that the only people who had these diseases were from the richest communities, which are very few people. The
Mm.
rest of India were practically immune to these lifestyle diseases. We never had it. And and this existed until the 1960s.
Mm.
1961, heart disease starts going up, slowly starts climbing in India. So some cardiologists in the same city, in Madras, they wanted to find out why is this happening? How long does it take for heart disease to develop? Is it something that just hits you out of the blue? Which is what most people think. No, you have some shocking news and get a heart attack, but that's actually not the way it works. You need to have
Mm.
had heart disease for several years first, damage the arteries over a long time, and then you have a high risk of getting a heart attack. Without that damage, you don't really get heart attacks. So, in 61, they took 500 people in Madras who had died from unrelated causes, like road traffic accidents,
Mm-hmm.
healthy people, you and me, who had unfortunately passed away. They cut open their chests, took out a piece of the arteries from around the heart, put it under a microscope to find out how many healthy Indians in 1961 already had heart disease and didn't know about it.
Mm.
Now they thought that they are going to get a small number because heart disease is not common in India. If you read that study, especially in South India, they had to say
Mm.
that, you know, and, uh, and they thought they were going to get a small number. But what they found was shocking. They found that above age 20, 100% of Indians already had the starting stages of
Oh.
heart disease. 100%. In
And that was
children from age
1960s.
1961, and children from age 10 to 20, 95% had heart disease. They found heart disease in a 2.5-year-old baby. And after that point, from several other research studies, today we know that heart disease is a disease that starts even before you're born. The predisposition to the condition starts developing when you're just a fetus in your mother's womb, depending on your mother's lifestyle. And then by the time we're 10 years old, practically every single person, every single Indian already has the starting stages of heart disease. So, two of us are speaking, we think we are healthy, but according to the data, both of us are already heart disease patients. We just don't know it yet.
Don't know it yet.
Yes. And of course, for some people, it might develop into a heart attack. For others, it might not. But I don't want to take that risk. If I
Mm.
have heart disease, I want to fix it. I want to reverse it. And how do I do that? Around the same time, in the 1960s, a similar research study was conducted in Africa. I think in Uganda, where researchers studied Africans and to see how many of them had the same stage of heart disease. They did it in the US, US also same story, 100% of people heart disease. In Africa, there was nobody, almost nobody, zero heart disease.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And then, very interestingly, that same paper, the Africa paper, says that Indians who live in Africa, with, at that time there were Indians who had been taken by the colonizers to Africa to
Mm-hmm.
work there. Those Indians who lived in Africa tended to develop heart disease. Why? Because of our food habits, because of our, perhaps dairy consumption, oil consumption. Okay, but the Africans who continued to follow their traditional diets in their land did not develop heart disease. And this was actually proven by interventional studies. So these are all called observational studies, where you just see and then try to draw associations, try to draw conclusions from it. But then an interventional study is where you actually make someone do something and then
Mm-hmm.
observe what happens. 1991, Dr. Dean Ornish would come to India, learned about yoga, got interested in healthy lifestyles, went back to the US, conducted a groundbreaking lifestyle heart trial where he proved for the first time using the CT angiogram, using those techniques, that in 5 years' time, more than 80% of people with moderate to severe heart disease can actually reverse their condition through a healthy lifestyle. The plaques dissolved, the arteries opened up, blood was flowing freely through their arteries once again. More than like 4 in 5 people, more than that number, were free from heart disease. They were back to normal. People who were not able to walk to the bathroom after getting a heart attack were
Mm-hmm.
climbing mountains. If you want to visualize it, that much radical change was possible through a whole food plant based diet, exercise, just walking, I think, in a study, and building healthy relationships, reducing your stress levels. Three simple practices that give you a longer, healthier life.
That's brilliant. So, yeah, I heard you give a lot of data, and it felt like, a master storyteller, giving me a lot of telling a lot of stories. So, I know that you do a lot of these master classes. You share, you reach out to more people. But I am surprised myself that I didn't know of this prior. And when you said Sampoorna Ahara, you make food without oil, without some of these jaggery and sugar. I was like, oh, that and even maida considered. And I saw all of your LinkedIn photos with really nice, cakes, desserts, and all of that. So I was a little confused. Is this even possible? What's happening here? Very interesting that you put data into the whole equation, because the data speaks, other than Sunil and Dr. Achyuthan, the data speaks directly to all of us. And uh, and I think, yeah, dairy products, what we eat, is something that puts us off in a lifestyle. And sometimes the awareness that something else exists is also something that's off the charts. We don't even know that. It's only very recently, when with a few YouTube videos, that I got to know that there is possibility of diabetes reversal. And that again comes through different food lifestyles that we are having a look at, walking, and different modes of such. And to reverse diabetes, I think for me it was like, oh, why didn't our seniors do it? Why didn't they not know about it? They could have extended their lifetime for a longer time. So awareness wise, it's pretty difficult, and it's not really reached people. And I had another, interesting guest from Coimbatore, and they actually have an organization called Biobasics, and they told me, Sunil, there's something called black rice. And I said, okay, black rice, I've only seen white, and then I've heard of red rice. I've heard of broken rice, but what is this black rice? And when in our previous conversation, you said there's something called purple rice. So I don't think me and my peers, my contemporaries, are pretty much aware of this thing in the first place. So what's been your experience getting to know of? I think you said you cook 1,500 plus recipes with different ingredients. So how's been that journey to absorb, learn all of this?
There is a wealth of knowledge, Sunil, that we have lost, that we are losing today, we will lose in the future if we don't watch out. Black rice that you mentioned is a traditional rice variety in Karnataka and Tamil Nadu. You go to the villages, you ask the farmers, you ask the older farmers, they'll know what you're talking about. They used to cultivate it until the, you know, everyone started growing sugarcane and Sona Masuri rice and wheat. These traditional crops were what was grown. Tomatoes, for example, you heard of cherry tomatoes, I'm sure, right? The small ones.
Yep.
And we think those are exotic, those are fancy, but those cherry tomatoes are the original tomatoes. Only those tomatoes existed at one point. And then they were selectively bred and they were made bigger, 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 bigger. Those cherry tomatoes are the original tomatoes. There are so many amazing vegetables and fruits, which I'm sure you've eaten in your childhood, that you don't get in the shops today. There is
Absolutely.
in North Karnataka, there's this beautiful fruit called Kauli Hannu, which is a small black fruit, like four seeds, big seeds inside. Incredibly delicious, so tangy, so sweet, so delicious. Even now, you go to Hubli Dharwad side, you get it on the roadside, but you don't get it in the shops.
Mm.
Okay? There is one when one day when I went to Hubli, I found these small capsicums, I know, mini capsicums.
Mm-hmm.
I asked him what it was, and I didn't understand his Kannada accent. So I guessed the capsicum by the shape of it. I bought it, bought like a kg of it, came back home, gave it to my grandmother, and I said that, see, I got some nice small capsicums. What would you like to make? She said, I'll make a palia from it, a sabji. So she did that, and we tried eating it for dinner, and it burned a hole through our tongues. This was not capsicum, it was chili.
True.
I didn't even recognize it. Fruits and vegetables that we are simply losing. And there's so much more to discover. People are talking about, forgetting black rice. What about our millets? There are like 20 plus different varieties of millets. If you ask someone on the street, can you name 5 varieties of millets? Most people might not even know the answer.
Yeah.
5 varieties. I know ragi, jowar, bajra. What else is there? There's foxtail millet, there's barnyard millet, there's kodo millet, there is proso millet, little millet. So many, many different varieties that we have that we've lost to time. And we
Mm.
can rediscover those, we can get those back, but it is all in our hands as consumers. If you're listening to this podcast or if you're watching this video, then it's in your hands. If you choose the bag of white rice, that's what the farmer is going to grow next, because that's what you want to buy. If you choose the bag of millets, then that's what the farmer will plant next, because you're telling the farmer, that's what I would like to eat. That's what I would like to take for my family. That's what they're going to grow instead. Uh, and research on these fruits and vegetables, like for example, when you compare organic fruits and vegetables to the ones grown with chemicals, you find that on average they have about a 10 to 40% additional content of antioxidant phytonutrients. So these are the nutrients that keep you healthy, that protect you from diabetes,
Mm.
hypertension, heart disease, and obesity. And they don't have any difference in minerals like calcium, iron, vitamins like A, D, B. All of those are similar, whether it's organic or conventionally grown, it's pretty much the same. But these antioxidants are much higher in organic foods, 10 to 40% higher, depending on various crops and various other factors.
So, doctor, you were sharing about antioxidants and that being 10% more and say chemically grown with fertilizer grown or organic growing. Would
Yes,
you to share a little more about that?
absolutely. So organic food seems to have much higher antioxidant content. And the reason may not be so much because chemicals are not used, but because of the varieties of plants that are used in organic agriculture. So
Mhm.
when you grow without chemicals, you tend to use more nati plants or more native plants because they're more hardy, more resistant to infection, resistant to bugs and pests, and have a much safer yield. So when you use those plants, they have a much higher antioxidant content, which means that if we go back to more native varieties of food, of plant foods, then we tend to get higher antioxidant intake and a better protection from chronic disease as well. So, traditional foods are fantastic. At the same time, it's not just traditional foods that can keep you healthy. For example, people consider, especially in India, we consider dairy products as traditional foods. We think ghee is a traditional food for us. But when you look into the actual tradition of ghee, you'll find a lot of facts that seem confusing if you come from this background. You know? For example, every household had a cow and considered it divine, considered it holy, protected it. But this was not always the case. When you go back to the Vedic times, when you read the actual Vedas, the oldest one, the Rig Veda, doesn't mention anything about the cow being holy. The second Veda onwards suddenly elevate the cow to the status of a divine being. Um, why would they do that? Why would they make something divine or holy? What I understand, and I may be wrong, but this is my understanding of it, is you make something holy to protect it,
Mhm.
to keep it safe. When
Yeah.
you want to keep a stone safe, put some kungumam, put a mala, keep it under a tree, come back after a year, there's a chance it might still be there.
Mm.
Right? And that is our Indian mindset. You look at the divinity within anything and everything around you. You try to seek that divinity out, and if you consider something divine, you try to protect it. And why would you want to protect something? Maybe because it became important for some reason. You'd want to protect it. And this was the time when morals and values were becoming an important part of Indian culture. And at that time, the first moral, the most important value that even today we hold dear in so many traditions like yoga is ahimsa, non-violence, non-harming yourself or other living beings, physically or mentally, now or in the future, as Vedatri Maharishi put it. Such a beautiful definition of ahimsa. And 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 what do you say? Imagine that you were a king or you were a leader or a judge in the Vedic times. The farmer comes up to you and says, "Look, I'm trying to practice ahimsa. I don't want to harm, but I don't have food at home. My family doesn't have food. We are starving. There's a chicken in our backyard. I'm going to kill the chicken and feed my family with it." What would you tell the farmer? Would you tell him to kill or would you tell him don't kill? You tell him to kill, you're condemning one life. You tell him don't kill, you're condemning five lives of his family
Five
members.
lives.
You know? So it's a very difficult decision. Most people would not be able to even say anything. We try to look for an alternative. That's not a question anyone wants to answer. So in that period, if you had an alternative where you can choose to not kill an animal, but yet get enough food to survive at home for your family, then that's a fantastic compromise to make, right? And I believe that's when dairy products started coming in. That's when the cow became an important part of our culture, an important part of so many things, agriculture, cow dung, for medicinal purposes, so many things. And ghee was made in the house, stored on the shelf because it had a long shelf life. This was super important. One of the reasons why ghee is used in Ayurvedic medicines, in many Ayurvedic medicines, is because it has such a long shelf life.
Self life.
You keep it on the shelf for 10 years, nothing will happen to the ghee. It stays fresh. But the same thing you make like a kashayam, it's gone by evening. So if you're a doctor and you want to make medicines for like 500 patients, how do you do it? You can't make 500 kashayams every day. And you have to make it in advance and keep it. So ghee, honey, these foods became very important because of their shelf life. And if you didn't have food at home, if there was a famine, if there was a drought, then you take that bottle of ghee. You give it to the people who are most vulnerable. And who are those who are most vulnerable? Children, elders,
Elders.
and most importantly, at the top of the chain, lactating mothers.
Mm.
Okay? Mothers who have just given birth to babies, infants, for whom breast milk is the only food. And without mother's milk, they won't survive to see tomorrow. So you give ghee to lactating mothers in the absence of any food. Today, what do? We've forgotten all this history. Any mother who has given birth is force-fed ghee for the first 6 months.
Mm.
The traditions have gotten like turned on their head. We remember the habit, but we forgot the purpose. So yes, traditions are important. At the same time, it's important to understand those traditions and follow them with the context of what was happening in the past, what is the current situation, and what's the best thing for us to do today. And when you look at that, what is the best choice we can make today, whether it is our health, whether it comes to ahimsa itself, or even climate change, you find that animal agriculture today is the leading cause for climate change all over the world, simply because of the amount of resources used up in it. So, looking at it from any of these three angles, the best choice that we can make today for ourselves, for the animals, and for the planet is to choose a more plant based diet.
Absolutely true. So I agree with that in terms of some of our traditions that worked then may work even now, but we don't know why we're doing this. So that is sadly a state of affairs we're getting into. Maybe over maybe the last 5 6 years, I've at least got some convincing answers saying, this could be why we're doing this. And there are still many questions that are left unanswered. And my mom usually says, okay, if you are interested, why not find it out? Why ask me? So when you were sharing in terms of, how cow came into the prominence and how it stays prominent, uh, I think I left consuming dairy products for quite some time. At least coffee and tea, that's a staple for us South Indians, and maybe chai for North Indians. So we all use some of the other ingredient that's got to do with milk, and now how we produce milk. I think it's another separate podcast in itself. To share saying, hey, what's happening with your milk. But I want to come back to Sampoorna Ahara and some of the stuff that you've been doing. So you deliver these whole food and cook them and basically deliver it to people on a daily basis. How does that happen?
Sure. So we start the process with the harvest, Sunil. We get
Mm-hmm.
our food, millions of fruits and vegetables directly from our chemical free, organic, and natural farmers. We harvest it, deliver it to our kitchen, we wash it, we clean it, we keep it ready. The next morning, it's chopped, it's steamed, it's roasted and baked and prepared into delicious dishes packed in steel tiffin boxes, reusable tiffin boxes. We're completely plastic free. Right? So we
Mm-hmm.
use
Awesome.
yeah, and sometimes we use compostable boxes, which you can home compost in your own garden, and we door deliver it to people across Bangalore. That's made healthy eating so convenient. You know, if in all food ordering apps, and if you had whole food plant-based options, it would be so great, right? You can choose that option. That's what we're trying to bring, right? And we have brought. I think we have delivered over like 2 lakh meals and products
Oh,
until
wow.
today, yeah, and more every single day. And that's created such a huge impact. People find it easier to eat healthy while they're in office and they don't have time. It's easier to eat healthy when they're working from home and don't have time. It's easier to get their parents to eat healthy, easier to get their children to eat healthy, easier to reverse diabetes. You no longer have to, suffer from increasing complications and increasing medications. Before all of that sets in, there is an opportunity to just enjoy delicious food and reverse diabetes to a significant extent. And 80 90% of clients see significant improvement. sugar level comes down. Many people are able to bring it back to normal. Because for some people it takes longer, for some people it's not a complete change. If I told you it's 100% guaranteed works for everybody, that's a red flag right there. Nothing works 100%. Even insulin doesn't work for 100% of people due to various reasons. Right? So 80-90% of people see significant benefits. Some people even see a complete reversal. They're able to stop their medications completely and bring the sugar levels to normal, blood pressure to normal, cholesterol to normal, body weight to normal. They go back to their doctor. The doctor is shocked. What did you do? How did this happen? Okay. And the sad part is we doctors are not taught about this. We're not taught about the fantastic healing power of a healthy lifestyle. It's simply not a part of our curriculum for most of us. When we learn, you ask any doctor today, what is the treatment for diabetes? They will say it's lifestyle changes. Okay. But then it ends there. When you ask, okay, what lifestyle changes? You get different answers from different people. It's so confusing. We're not taught more than avoid fried food, don't eat outside often, eat at home, eat on time, eat proper quantities of food, don't eat too much oil. That's it. Where is the science? Where is the research? Where is the evidence going? There is already so much of research that's been done. We know what works, we know what doesn't work, we know how to make it happen. Unfortunately, the research has not yet reached the practice. So that's what we're doing with the meal deliveries, and we're seeing some fantastic results. People who don't want to start medications and just been diagnosed with high blood sugar or high blood
Mhm.
pressure or lose weight, or people who have been diabetic for 30 years and want to fix it to whatever extent is possible. Now, we've seen people with diabetes. My own grandmother had diabetes for 35 years when I graduated as a doctor. And then we got her on a whole food plant based diet. In 10 days' time, Sunil, she dropped her insulin and medications 90% and got her sugar levels from 300 down to 140. My
Mm.
grandfather, hypertension, high blood pressure for 35 years. 10 days on a plant based diet reduced his BP from 200 by 100, 180 by 100, down to 120 by 80, and reduced from 6 tablets a day down to half a tablet a day. They
Well,
both lost 10 kgs of weight each. And this is after years of trying to eat healthy. My grandmother would eat bitter gourd every single day for the last decades. She would drink like buttermilk with methi seed powder. She'd completely avoid rice and have only chapatis. Some dietitian told her to have only soya chunks instead of rice, and she did that also. She would not eat any sweets. My grandfather would not eat any pickles, no papads. So whatever they knew, they were already practicing, but it wasn't enough. It needed a complete shift, and we were able to make that happen with a whole food plant based diet. And there is no excuse anymore, really, for continuing to eat unhealthy. There are so many fantastic resources, many that we've created, many that others have created, that you can use as a support system today. Now, 10 years back, if you had gone to a doctor and the doctor said, okay, look, you need to stop eating, you have diabetes, you want to reverse it, stop eating meat, fish, eggs, dairy products, milk, curds, cheese, yogurt, paneer, butter, buttermilk, and ghee. Also cook without oil, don't use any sugar, jaggery, honey, or white rice or maida. You're going to run as fast as you can, never go back to the clinic. Today, but today that's not the case anymore. You're not alone. You don't have to do it all yourself. There are fantastic resources you can use. There are communities where so many people support each other, like the nutritionscience.in website. It has a huge range of online courses with fantastic communities where every week we meet, we have a chat, we discuss how did your week go, what all changes have you made, what are the health benefits you've received, what are the difficulties you faced, how to overcome those problems. Okay. And we talk about amazing changes that people make, amazing results that they get, that inspire you to continue eating. And if you don't want to, if you want it to be as simple as possible, can simply subscribe to a Sampoorna Ahara meal plan and enjoy delicious food while reversing disease at the same time. It doesn't get easier.
That's fantastic. So, how does one subscribe to this food plan of yours?
Sure. So you can just go to our website, sampoornaahara.com. That's SAMPOORNA, Sampoorna, and AHARA, Ahara.com. Or you can Google Sampoorna Ahara, you'll find it right at the top. And on the website, you'll see many options. You'll see meals, you'll see snacks, celebrations, you'll see learn if you'd like to learn about it. So if you or you can even book an appointment consultation to speak with us if you have questions. So if you'd like to get the meals, then click on meals. There are so many options there. There are subscriptions you can take. There is, you want lunch today, you want dinner today, you can order it, get it delivered to your house immediately, just like any other food that you're ordering from anywhere online. You can get so many different types of subscriptions. We have everything from breakfast jars with a delicious smoothie jars. We have plant-based pizzas. We have delicious
Uh,
North Indian, South Indian balanced meals with 5 to 8 different dishes. Like there's a fruit salad, there's vegetable starter, there's a sabji, there's a vada or a pakoda or a sopin palya. There's like palak sabji. There is rice and rasam, rice with sambar. There's a roti and sabji and the chana masala. There's paneer butter masala. There is desserts like Mysore pak and gulab jamun and um, my mouth is watering thinking all of this food, laddus and
that
burfi.
makes it +1 essence. I am like, okay, doctor, I should ask you to maybe pause because I'm like, okay, so many good things that you're saying, and then I have to go back to eat curd rice right now.
Absolutely. And there's so many things. And you can still eat all your favorite comfort foods. You mentioned curd rice. You want curd rice, you can eat curd rice. Just make it with healthier ingredients. We have a meal plan called the executive meal, which by the way is super affordable. It's less than like 199 rupees per meal. And it's free delivery when you subscribe to it.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, you get discounts which bring it down even further from the next second month onwards, which has a bowl of plant-based curd rice in every single meal, so you never miss it. And you enjoy curd rice with every meal, but it doesn't have white rice, it doesn't have dairy curds. Instead, it's made with rajmodi rice, which is the traditional red rice variety eaten by the Maharajas of Mysore. And super soft, melt in the mouth, delicious rice variety. And the curds made from plant-based milk. It's made from a blend of soya milk and badam milk. It's such a delicious curds. And you have grapes and raisins and pomegranate and curry leaves and mustard and urad dal. You can't even tell the difference. It is curd rice is curd rice. We served at my wedding. We served plant-based curd rice, like 700 odd people, and they couldn't tell the difference. They just enjoyed it. Oh wow, wonderful curd rice. Then we told them, oh, that actually doesn't have. What? How did you make it?
Mm.
So,
So wonderful. So I should come to lunch or dinner for your place.
oh, absolutely. Love to have you over.
So you've discussed a lot of very interesting things. So you started on a list of things that you can get at Sampoorna Ahara, and then I was very fascinated with the sustainable packaging that you mentioned. So carbon footprint wise, in terms of plastic consumption, uh, a lot of times
Absolutely.
refrain from getting any orders from Swiggy or any place, any hotel as such, because it's with plastic.
And that's the easiest thing to fix. I'll show you an example. This is our breakfast jar. This is a
Mhm.
smoothie jar. And it's made from glass. It has like a metal lid, which you can reuse indefinitely. Keep it at home for the next 10 years. As long as you don't like, let it fall and break, you can continue reusing it. And you can even return it back to us. We sanitize it and we have um, and this is a box of our pizzas, which is made from cardboard, paper,
Mm-hmm.
like there's no printing, there's no plastic on it,
Mm-hmm.
and you can compost it at home. Reuse it.
Mm-hmm.
I put this in my compost bin. There, instead of dry leaves, if you compost at home,
Mm-hmm.
you need to put some peels and then some dry leaves, mix it all up. So we put some peels and then we chop up the cardboard and we put it in, and it composts beautifully. The We don't send stuff to the landfill from our house. And even inside, like the pizza, so this is plant-based pizza that we make, and even inside we have
Mm-hmm.
so the small stool that you get in the middle of the pizza called the
Yes.
pizza seat. So we don't use that plastic stool. Instead, we use this ring. So this is an edible ring. It's made from
Mm-hmm.
whole wheat and
Mm-hmm.
it's healthy, crunchy, it's delicious. We use this spiral ring and we keep it in the center of the pizza so that it doesn't get crushed.
Mm.
And the small packet of seasoning that you get, that's again made with plastic. Even if it's made with paper, it has a plastic inner lining. We
Correct.
don't use that packet. We use this really cute bottle of seasoning, which is a
Mm-hmm.
glass bottle with a cork lid, okay, which we've been asking people to return this to us. They don't do it. They love the bottle so much. They're like, no, 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 it's okay. We'll keep it at home. Such a beautiful bottle. And we put this bottle along with one of these pizza savers to protect it so it doesn't get broken. We put this in every box of pizza and we send it out. So those small things, like steel boxes, compostable boxes, reusable glass, reusable tin, that we hope that many other brands take this example and put it into practice, because that is what is going to save our environment tomorrow, by tomorrow, today.
I think we need to save our environment yesterday. So today is always a good day to start.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And our diet is the number one biggest factor. They did an analysis recently that let's imagine a perfect world where you stopped using all fossil fuels. No more petrol, no more diesel, no kerosene. You used only renewable energy. All cars were electric. All electricity is coming from solar, wind, like renewable energy sources. There's no coal, there is no fossil fuels that are used. Industries, transportation, energy, everywhere in the world, everything is clean. What happens to the climate? What is going to happen from today onwards? They found if we make that shift 100% starting today, we're still doomed. Temperature is still going to increase, the climate is still going to change, and we're still headed towards disaster. The only way by which we can reverse that is to change what's on our plate. If we shift from animal based to more plant based food, then we can reverse this trend. Then we can truly save the environment. Save the environment, save ourselves, and even save those millions of animals from being slaughtered.
Hmm. So yeah, I think that is true. So if we change what we eat, changes not just our world but the whole world outside. So I think there are many questions that are coming for me, and when you said I also observed this hashtag be your own doctor in your
Yes.
and in your LinkedIn as well. So I was a little more curious. Okay, be your own doctor. What's happening with that?
Absolutely. There is this tendency when you go to a doctor, you tell the doctor, doctor, this is the pain, this is the ache, give me an injection and make me okay. That's what people expect today. Majority of people, maybe you're one of them, maybe you're not, but majority of the people who visit a doctor today expect a drug, expect a surgery, expect a therapy to be administered to them. We outsource the responsibility for solving our problem to the doctors. But the truth is, the top killer diseases in India today, many of them are in our hands to change. We think that we are victims of our genes. that our parents had diabetes, my aunt and uncle, everyone has high BP. So I have no choice. I'm anyway going to become diabetic one day. Let me eat all the sweets that I want. Let me eat all the junk that I want. Let me eat all the biryani I want. Um, they will even say, "ಇದು ಕೊಬ್ಬು ಕೊಡ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ biryani illa," and they'll eat it. You know, if it doesn't raise my cholesterol, it's not biryani, and you eat it. And okay, you feel good for a few moments. Then you go to the doctor, and the doctor says you have high cholesterol, you have diabetes, you have high blood pressure. If you're lucky, if you're unlucky, after a heart attack, you don't make it all the way to the hospital. And we know so many people who have gone like this. My own grand uncle passed away from a heart attack. While I was studying to become a doctor, it felt so bad. I felt so helpless. What's the point of becoming a doctor if I can't help my own family? That was my thought. My mother had was first diagnosed with breast cancer in 2018. It was 4 years after she had changed her diet. She was on a 100% whole food plant-based diet, strictest one in our family, and she was the inspiration, by the way, behind Sampoorna Ahara and our primary mentor. She is the reason behind our entire journey. She was diagnosed with cancer in 2018, breast cancer, and treated for it. The doctors were so surprised by how well she progressed that they had initially scheduled a surgery, but then they postponed it because she was recovering so well. And I was in the consultation room and he looked at the reports and the doctor said, "Wow, I'm surprised." But then a few years later, in October of last year, unfortunately, she was diagnosed with a metastasis. The cancer had spread to the liver and to the nearby lymph nodes. We tried all the available treatments. Unfortunately, none of them worked. Just over a month back, my mother passed away from breast cancer. So, Neil, if I could exchange every glass of milk, every sugar sweet, every fried food that we've ever eaten for one more day with my mother, it may be too late for her, but it's not too late for the rest of us. We're still here. Cancer is a disease that takes 10 years to grow before the first diagnosis happens. Heart disease takes years to grow before that first heart attack happens. These are not diseases that happen because of what you eat today or yesterday or tomorrow. These are diseases that occur because of what we eat and the lifestyle we lead for the next years. And that depends on what you eat today. That depends on what you eat every day. That depends on how much you move, how well you sleep, how less stress you have. And if we take these into our hands, if we take our health into our hands, then we have a fantastic chance of living a longer, healthier life with our loved ones. Nothing is worth falling sick, Sunil. Nothing is worth cancer. Nothing is. And sure, eating healthy doesn't make you immune to cancer. You may still get it, like my mother did, but it lowers your risk. Tell me which is better, 70% risk or 15% risk? I would choose 15% any day.
Yeah. So, really sorry to hear of your mom's passing. And I've also seen your LinkedIn posts, and I know she's been an inspiration not just for you but for many others, in terms of Farm Fresh Bangalore, Urban Mali, a few other things. So maybe the last question that I have is, any other anecdote that you would like to share from how you were inspired by a mom, or even your dad, for that matter.
Sure, absolutely. And thank you so much for your kind words, Sunil. Now, my parents have been my mentors throughout my life. My mother told us all from an early age, "I'm not your mother, I'm your friend, and I'm your mentor." And that's how we treated her as well. They taught me so much. I remember even when I graduated from college, I had this full of energy, full of purpose, and wanting to make a difference in the world. But I was still very much focused on what I can do myself. This tendency of Anything that I give to someone else, I can probably do it a little better myself. So let me just do it myself. And I did that for many years. As a doctor, I treated like 2,000 patients in 7 years or so. But then when I realized that there is a power in bringing people together to work towards a common cause, that's when my mother introduced me to social entrepreneurship. She ran the Fractal Entrepreneurship Foundation, where she
Mm-hmm.
incubated us to create Sampoorna Ahara. Sampoorna Ahara is the first whole food plant-based social enterprise in India. And through
Oh,
Sampoorna
brilliant.
Ahara, in just 2 or 3 years' time, we have helped 50,000 families get healthier. 7 years as a doctor, just 2,000 people. 3 years with Sampoorna Ahara, 50,000 people. That's the kind of difference that the system can make. And, and we have been able to do this because of some fantastic people who have come together as a team, fantastic guidance and mentorship that my parents have given that helped us to set processes that helped any person to do what only a professional could have otherwise done, that helped us grow with the support of our community, the support of so many people who are our clients, our patients who came together to support us and take our journey to the next level. I'm so grateful for each and every person who has, you know, been involved in our journey and helped us reach where we are today. I hope, I'm sure it will continue to grow, continue to impact more people, create a bigger impact tomorrow. And I have one request to every person who's watching this video or listening to this podcast. Everything that you learned here today, everything you learned from Sunil's podcast, everything you learned from Sampoorna Ahara, from nutrition science, please don't keep it to yourself. Go back home and share it with your loved ones. Share it with the people you care about. Share it with your friends, with your family, because these are secrets that should no longer be kept secret. Everyone should know about it. And then you can take a decision whether you'd like to do it or not. Everyone should know about it. Thank you so much, Sunil, for having me here today. It's absolutely lovely
Yes.
speaking with you. Very grateful for the opportunity.
I think it's also the other way around. So I think I learned a lot of these interesting things about food. I also heard a long list of things that are available on the Sampoorna Ahara's website. I am now curious to look at what all I can order there, and it felt so very natural a conversation. So it didn't feel like it's the second time we're having a conversation. So it felt like I know you for a very very long time. So it's been a
Yeah,
full-fledged try, and I know that there's enough stories, enough anecdotes, enough for another podcast, another episode maybe, which I'm hoping that it happens. But I'm also hopeful that this rather introduces me to a lot bigger of a network in terms of social entrepreneurship and fractal entrepreneurship. I think I was just looking up that, and yeah, if at all you would like to recommend anybody for the next podcast, I'm more than happy.
absolutely. I'd love to share a bunch of contacts with you. You can reach out to any of them. All fantastic, amazing people who we work.
Yeah, thank you so much, and thank you for sharing your story authentically, vulnerably, and I am excited to get this off and maybe put it on the Saturday or the Sunday's episode release, and more and more people read it, listen to it, share it, like Dr. Achyuthan said, share it with your loved ones. Maybe do a second visit to the link and listen again, because your health matters. Maybe for us it may or may not really impact us, but for you it matters, and for your family it matters. So keep healthy and eat healthy. And yeah, that's it. That's it from us today in this very interesting podcast episode. And make sure you subscribe to the Sampoorna Ahara's food plan, and enjoy plant-based wholesome food, and yeah, stay healthier along with that.
Awesome. Thank you so
Thank you
much
so
again,
much.
Sunil, and thank you everyone for
Thank
your
you. See you.
interest.
Take care.
See you.